Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Joshua Kai and welcome. I haven't done a video in quite a while, so I felt like it was really the perfect time to dive back in and start a new video series. It's such a really great, just amazing time in life right now. There's so many things happening and so many changes going on in the world. I just believe that there's a lot of folks out there that could benefit from, the message that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Now, I will say that I'm here in my backyard in the great state of Virginia, so this is going to be a very organic video. My pups are bouncing around the backyard and there's plenty going on, so nevertheless, I'm confident that we're going to have a great visit today and a great message to be shared and received. So, of course, it's the year 2021, and the hot topic of the day is, the shifts that are going on the planet right now, how things are changing. I've heard, different terminology used: the Great Shift, the Great Awakening. You get the idea. So there's a lot of awakening to the understanding about all of the changes that are happening right now and what that could possibly mean for us. So one of the things that I focus on myself is just understanding and being aware of different levels of conscious awareness. So what there you will that's my baby girl in the background there growling about something, but I'm sure there's going to be more than a few interruptions, but I'm happy that they're here to share in the message today and the energy of the backyard, which is fantastic. It's such a beautiful day. So getting back to conscious awareness, so one of the things that I've talked about, and for those of you who don't know, I'm the author of a book called The Quantum Prayer, Love, Healing, and Creating Your Best Life Possible, right? So one of the things that I've definitely been focused on in my own life is just creating my best life possible and contributing in every way possible, and helping other people be able to do the same for themselves. Because really, if you can do something for yourself, that's fantastic. If you can help other people do the same, even better. I mean, what could be better? And so the reason why I shared my story in the book The Quantum Prayer is because there's really no difference between me and any of you or anybody else, except for perhaps maybe a level of conscious awareness about what is possible. And so I think that it's inspiring and helpful for other people when they see somebody who isn't that extraordinary in their life story, perhaps, that when they are able to accomplish something extraordinary like creating their best life possible, it's very inspiring, and it's very relatable to see that and to come to the awareness and the understanding that, hey, if that dude can do it, so can I. If he can do it, so can I. And I know many of you have just many great stories. I hear and see stories all the time, folks of all ages, all over the world, kids, older folks, younger folks, just some of the miraculous stories of just awakening up, and just having this deep understanding of our own personal power and what we can do to just create our best life possible, and how things are really changing. From some of the old paradigms are shifting away and some of the new ones are shifting in, and that's really based on people actually putting these types of messages out there, and sharing their own stories, and actually sort of leading by example or showing by example, um, just just exactly what you can do to create your best life possible. So I thought it was very appropriate to talk about some different levels of consciousness and how those levels of consciousness could hold significant meaning for us right now, and how, as many people are trying to sort through many personal questions for themselves, in terms of their own life, everything from their own well-being, their own how to manage their health, their financial situation, their relationships. Those are usually the big ones, right? Finances, health, relationships. And then more and more emerging, people are bringing into that category too, life purpose, life mission, and asking that question a lot. What am I really here to do? What is life really all about for me? So bringing those questions to the surface, definitely you're going to get there's all kinds of answers out there. So for every question, there's probably 1,000 answers, right? I love that. So, but that can be very confusing for a lot of people. And one of the things that I found, and perhaps many of you found also, is that what works for one person doesn't necessarily work with another, doesn't necessarily resonate with another, is fantastic for somebody else. Just really, really varies greatly and widely. And that's because we're all different, of course, and we're all at different levels of consciousness. So something that makes perfect sense to somebody at one level of consciousness is really gonna not make sense to somebody at another level of consciousness. And then, as I'm speaking of levels of consciousness, it's not in a judgmental way at all. So actually, once you reach a certain level of consciousness, duality kind of, there is no duality. Just straight up, there's no duality. So the idea of good and bad doesn't exist at a certain level of consciousness and above. So I think it's important to use that as a differentiation in the discussion for today. So duality has been a part of our human reality, for ever. That's pretty much the norm. There's a lot of duality in life: good and bad, light and dark, like and dislike. You know, you name it. I mean, we all understand what duality is. So, and we tend to think in terms of things of good and bad for the most part. And is something good for me? Is something better for me? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? And that duality consciousness, if you've gotten to a point, or as you get to a point where you start to transcend duality consciousness, or you just leap to another level of consciousness where you can, and let me just actually interrupt myself and say that for every level of consciousness, you also retain all of the former levels of consciousness to your present moment. Okay, so it's not like you're gonna reach a level of consciousness and then forget everything you learned in the other levels of consciousness, or forget what that was like. You don't. You retain that valuable information and those valuable lessons, and you that deepens who you are, and deepens your understanding, and deepens your awareness and your consciousness, so that you can look through all of the levels of consciousness and appreciate all of it and everyone who's there. So you see we're all just reflecting back to each other, right? We're all just a unique expression and reflection of the one. Um, and so you can look and you can see yourself in those people and situations and in those levels of consciousness. You can recognize yourself, and at the same time be appreciating these newer levels of consciousness as we become aware of them, which is really all it is, just becoming aware. And so for this duality consciousness, so we can get to a point where we are not necessarily finding value in judging anything. It's I mean, I personally have got to a point where it's exhausting. You know, it's an expenditure of energy to judge. Like duality consciousness, it takes more energy to operate in duality consciousness than it does to not. So when you're not in duality consciousness, then it takes less energy, and so you have more energy for other things, focused intention and focused creativity and manifesting and healing, creating your best life possible. So it's where you want to put your energy. Now, a lot of and your awareness would have to be at that level of consciousness. Otherwise, it's like being in a place where you can't see outside of where you are. You're just not aware of that. There's a consciousness or a level of awareness where duality consciousness doesn't exist. So I'm rambling on a little bit about that, but the reason is because it's so very important right now. So one of today's hot topics is about healthcare, and this is really, really one of those areas where I could do several videos on, and I probably will, because it is one of the topics with so much focus, and it's so much a part of our lives and so much a part of our daily, decision making, and what kind of a lifestyle are we gonna create for ourselves. What kind of decisions are we going to make about our own personal health care? What should we not? Should we do this? Should we not do that? Is this good for us? Is this bad for us? Is this, gonna be, should, the part that, that takes enough energy, right? Just trying to decide for yourself, to make decisions for yourself and decide what's good and bad for yourself. It takes an enormous amount of energy when we try to start deciding what's good and bad for everybody else, and then try and relate it to how it's good and bad for us. So if you're a human being, though, and you're walking and breathing on this face of the earth, we all experience that, in this lifetime to some degree at some point. Not to say that once you reach a certain level of awareness where you realize how much energy that's really taking from what we can actually do in empowering ourselves, then that's a whole nother level of conscious awareness. It's like, wow, I was really giving away a lot of my energy and my power to something that really only exists as long as I give my attention and my focus to that. When I become aware and conscious of, a level of consciousness that duality does not exist, it's very freeing. You free up a lot of energy, and you connect with more of your own personal power. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video today, because I feel like that subject is very, it's a hot topic right now, and hopefully this video and this message will help a few people. So with that, what I'd like to say is, that the hot topic today is with regards to our health and wellness. You know, what decisions are we going to make for ourselves personally? So, are we going to take this route to health and wellness, or are we going to avoid this route? Are we going to, what decisions are we going to make for ourselves? So, what I really have come to understand, and I talk to people about this frequently, is that when you're not operating in duality consciousness, there really is no right or wrong and no good or bad. So that can seem really scary and really daunting for people who are thinking, hey, there's consequences to our decisions. You can't deny scientific proof and facts. You can't deny this, that, and the other. And it's true, but if you keep in mind that in universal law, anything that's a universal truth is true across all situations and circumstances, no matter what. So if it's true that everything is energy, and I believe that most people now have some level of understanding of that, then so that energy you can put into to anything. So you can put it into the love that you have for your dogs. You can put it into the passion that you have for your work. You can put it into the food that you eat in the form of blessings or prayers or well wishes. You can put it into the people in your life, wishing them well. There's Dr. Emoto's water crystal, about putting energy into water and love, and you have a very, coherent beautiful water crystal. I mean, it's been proven over and over and over and over again that our thoughts and intentions and emotions and, that we energetically create and manifest. So it's our vibrational frequency and at our level of consciousness, and all of these things factor into our experience. We really are far more powerful than we, probably consciously think about every day. We powerfully create our lives every day, whether we're aware of it or not. So back to the science thing, so can this pill or drug or shot or lifestyle or nutrition or whatever positively affect me or negatively affect me? I think it's the more important question is, what are my beliefs about that? Now, there are going to be some people who kind of stop right there and turn the video off. But I invite you to hang around and just kind of listen a little bit, because this is really about empowering you. It's really about helping you and sharing with you, a different level of consciousness about something that at some point in time you will likely find to be helpful, if not on one subject, another subject in your life. And then at some point, it may resonate with you. So for most people who are, in kind of actively aware of and working on raising their personal vibration, raising their level of consciousness, and creating their best life possible, it's fairly well understood that we're energetic beings, and that we are, that where we place our focus and our energy, that's what grows, that's what manifests, and that's how we create, whether we're aware of that or not. But most people who are actively, working on their own evolutionary process, are very aware of that. So, when it comes to choosing whether or not you should do something or not, I would suggest that from a certain level of consciousness, it doesn't really matter whether you should or not, and whether it's good for you or bad for you is going to have to do with your thoughts about it. So your beliefs about it, more accurately said, your beliefs about it. So if you can come to the level of consciousness and the realization, the awareness, the understanding that you are this incredibly powerful creator, you can, whatever your decision is, and I'm a firm believer in this. I talk to many people about this over and over again, that if you make a decision, support yourself in that decision to the highest integrity. So if you decide that you are going to do something, if you decide that you're going to take a medical, if you're going to have medical intervention or pharmaceutical intervention or natural intervention or energetic intervention, whatever you decide that's gonna be the best route for you for whatever reason, support yourself in that, by blessing that, putting your highest vibrational frequency, your highest intent, by just filling that with love, peace, and joy. So on the scale of level of consciousness, if you're not familiar with Dr. David Hawkins, who is the evolutionary who has presented who brought like the levels of consciousness to us, with just in brief, okay, going from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 being the highest level of consciousness known to be currently able to be held by a human being. The level of truth being 200, so anything below 200 being not true or not supporting life. Anything 200 or above would be truthful and supporting of life, and then you have different levels in between. Love being at the level of consciousness of 500, unconditional love being 540. Then you have above unconditional love, you have peace or joy and enlightenment. Enlightenment being, up to 1,000. So very few people remain, even according to Dr. Hawkins, very few people remain on the planet, after they reach a certain level of consciousness, over 600 or so. However, it's becoming more and more frequent, because that's what our planet needs right now. Our planet and our universe and humanity needs people right now who are able to bring that level of consciousness in a way that it can be brought into the world, and to have that vibrational frequency and level of consciousness brought into the world in a way that it can be received, in a way that it can be helpful and beneficial, in a way that it can be a part of the thing that's happening right now on our planet, the great shift, the great awakening, the great awareness, the great transformation, the great whatever you want to call it. It really is great. But from a level of consciousness, it was great before, it's great now, and it always will be great. But more and more people are becoming aware of how great of an opportunity it really is to be alive, and to be here right now specifically. So at that level of consciousness, you can bring that to anything in your life. And I did write about that in my book, The Quantum Prayer. And I talked about many things that are happening right now in my book, and you can refer to those chapters. They're really short, easy read chapters. A lot of that information, though, is actually happening right now. So I did talk about how that I saw that people were going to be shifting from, that people's occupations and work life are going to be shifting, and that you're going to see more people shifting out of work experiences that no longer resonated with them, and other people are going to be shifting in, and there's going to be kind of this shift in the work experience, which we're seeing in a tremendous way right now. And I also said that we were going to be shifting away from the traditional classroom setting of learning, in the traditional classroom setting like we have for eons now, and that was going to be shifting. And that's just incredible, the way that has transpired at this point in time. So what I saw when I wrote my book, The Quantum Prayer, was really this beautiful, phenomenal life, heaven on earth. Just being able to, just coming from a collective point of powerfulness for good, to create this our best life possible collectively. And that's what I see going on right now. So from that very powerful standpoint, I believe that for those who are kind of caught up, maybe not stuck in, or maybe not even fully engaged in the belief of duality, like, should I do this? Should I take this road of intervention? Should I avoid this? Is it good for me? Is it bad for me? A more powerful standpoint is, what is the best decision for me, and then how can I support myself in that? And through this creative process, and through my own personal power and conscious awareness, and through my vibrational intention, what can I do to make this intervention, or whatever it is that I decide for myself, magnificent. Not just, I'm going to do this and hope everything turns out well, or I'm going to avoid this and hope everything turns out well. Whatever you decide to do it, and pour, the highest vibrational frequency of divine unconditional love, peace, and joy into that. So whether you are eating food, or you're taking a prescription medication, or you're getting a shot, or you are using a homeopathic remedy, or you decide to do nothing but meditate, whatever you decide to do, there is incredible power in putting your intention into that. So why is that important? It sounds really super simple, maybe even too simple, like, Joshua, what should I do? Just bless this and bless that and do it. Yeah, but it's the way you feel about it. So if you really feel like something is right for you, or and I like to speak in terms of what's right for me, whether I choose to do something or not. The thing that's right for me is either choosing to do it, or choosing, the absence of it. So whatever that would be is important to pour your blessings and your intent into that. I know that it can sound super simple, but that's because it is, and I think that's part of the reason why it escapes a lot of people. Our life tends to be made so complex. If you were to go in and read all of the disclaimers about everything, whether it's, a prescription medication, or energetic healing, or, having a roof put on your house, it's, this list of disclaimers that would just, sometimes it can boggle your mind, right? Or have you ever tried to read the disclaimer or the agreement, the terms of agreement when you click on something online. It's just like, I'm not sure, you know, it's mind-boggling. It can definitely be overwhelming for sure. So really what you want to do is put your own terms of condition on whatever it is that you're deciding for yourself, and especially putting into your body. And so we're talking about health and wellness for this video today. And so it's so important to decide that whatever is best for you or right for you, that you're going to bless that decision, and you'll know, because the minute that you're able to just say, you know, and I love to do things by example. So the minute you're just able to say, look, you know, I bless this, what I'm about to put into my body, what I'm about to receive. I just bless this with, you know, the highest vibrational frequency of divine unconditional love, peace, and joy. And this thing that I'm going to put into my body, this food, this medicine, this natural remedy, whatever it is, this water, this coffee, this, you know, whatever it is, I bless this with the highest vibration for my health, my optimal health and wellness, my highest and best, you know, physical fitness, my greatest expression of myself, whatever you would deeply and passionately wish for yourself, hope for yourself, and want for yourself. That's what you want to put in there. And, you know, don't be worried about it being over the top. It's like, you can't be over the top and wishing, and you can't be over the top with goodness, okay? You can't be over the top with, you can't be too healthy, okay? You can't be too happy. You can't be, despite what you may have been taught, you know, or seen or witnessed in the world growing up or throughout your life, you can't experience too much joy. One of the beautiful things about being filled with joy and optimal health and wellness and happiness and peace and light is that when you're full, right, it overflows from you and it flows out from you, and it affects everything and everyone around you. And when you're in that powerful point of unconditional love and those higher levels of consciousness and higher vibrational frequencies, you know, one person can affect multitudes for large areas and at vast different distances. So it's pretty powerful and it's pretty incredible. I think the most challenging thing is for people to accept that that's the truth and that that's reality. So getting back to kind of honing in on my main message about deciding what's best for you, making those decisions, because we all have to do that. We all have to decide, you know, what we're going to do from day to day, and we're all human and we're all here, you know, we're all spiritual beings having a wonderful human experience, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And even though some days it may be more challenging to stay in that level of awareness, it is. And so getting back to the duality consciousness as well, when we are able to get to a point when we're able to bless ourselves that way, right, then we're able to bless everybody else and their own decision. So one of the things, you know, and of course, you know, I'm tuned in to what's going on in the world. I'm not in it, but, you know, I'm consciously aware of it. And so by being consciously aware of it, you know, I hear, you know, a lot of different levels of conscious awareness being discussed. I understand where people are at and where they're coming from. So I recognize all of this. It's just part of life. There's nothing to judge there for me, or for anybody. if you're able to choose that for yourself. And so, um, recognizing too that um, this is probably a good time to talk about victim consciousness, right? Because that comes along and that exists within some levels of duality consciousness, like something good happened to somebody bad, or something bad happened to somebody good, and somebody good is, or something good is being impacted by something bad. Okay, that's duality consciousness. It's also, at some point, it becomes victim consciousness, which, you have to, again, this won't resonate with you if you're not at that level of consciousness just yet, okay? But many more people are becoming aware, and having a better and better, and a deeper understanding of this. So, and the reality is, the truth is, and I'm just going to be, straight up with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or dance around it. So none of us are really victims, although I understand that it feels that way sometimes, or it looks that way, or seems that way in life. And we are all creating our life experience from our level of consciousness and our awareness. So there's really no good and bad. So people who, experience what others would say would be lucky or a charmed life, they're learning their lessons. And people who are experiencing a less charming life or a less lucky life, from that perspective, from the perspective of judgment and duality, are learning their lessons. And everybody is learning what they need to learn, the way they need to learn it, and the way that they've chosen to learn it, whether it's at a conscious level or, from their higher selves or contracts they have, or whatever. However you want to look at that is fine. There's different kinds of ways of looking at that, and it's all fine. So by doing that, you can decide for yourself, that, look, I can support myself in creating my best life possible, and I can support other people in their decisions for creating their best life possible. And once we realize how powerful we are, it really doesn't matter what everybody else decides for themselves. So that's a key point that I want to make sure that you get from this. If you get nothing else from this, get this. It doesn't matter what other people decide for themselves. It's important that they do that, but it cannot affect you unless you choose for it to. So if you decide that you're going to engage with that other person's decision, and you have a belief system based on other people affecting you, to some degree, that's a level of victim consciousness, because really you're giving your power away to other people and other situations and circumstances, which is not necessary at all. It's not necessary to do that. We're very powerful. And I know, like, I can hear a lot, in the conscious, collective conscious chatter, if you will, about, well, what if I decide to do this? And then the opposite of what I want happens. Well, that's okay too, because everything is okay. So you will get to a point in your level of consciousness when you realize that to let go the fear of making the decision, the fear, like, I wouldn't make a decision to do something because I'm afraid if I don't, something else will happen, something bad will happen. I wouldn't make the decision out of fear not to do something because I'm afraid that if I do, something bad will happen. Do you understand? So making decisions from the standpoint of fear love begets love, like attracts like, and so if you're doing something based on fear, then there's vibrational similarities there, that could come into play. So always make those decisions from a place of unconditional love, or at least love, to the extent possible, peace, joy, whatever you got to do. to get to feel not judgmental about it, not self-righteous about it, not right about it, but just right for you about it and just good about it. Like, I can get behind this, from the standpoint of love and unconditional love. I can support this for myself, from the standpoint of love. And then that's the point at which you want to go ahead and proceed. And then pour all the love that you feel for that into that for yourself. So, I mean, we've been, many folks will pray over every meal because from their level of consciousness and their belief, they believe that they're putting, that they are, that the transfer of that energy and that divine intention transfers to their food, transfers to their body. I happen to believe the same thing, but I don't limit it just to the food I eat. It's everything. It's the relationships I have. It's the grass in my backyard. It's to every decision I make, every person I make, everything I do, whether I'm playing golf one day or working one day or making videos or whatever I'm doing. I'm pouring my love, my high vibrational, unconditional love, peace, and joy, and enlightenment into that, because that's the vibration I want to send out into the world. That's the world that I want to create and live in. And I think that if we all did that, and we are more collectively doing that, our collective consciousness is becoming more and more tuned to that. So from the standpoint of duality, victim consciousness, creating our best life possible, we really are not victims of each other. So I know that there can be this tendency to feel like if you don't choose the same thing that I choose, that you're hurting me somehow, or that we're hurting each other. And that's coming from a weakened standpoint of victim consciousness. Like, other people can make decisions that are gonna weaken me or hurt me in some way or take something away from me, which is the farthest thing from the truth if you have a level of awareness and consciousness about your own personal power and what you need to do to create your best life possible. And that's really the essence of the message today, is that you really don't, you can stay in that level of consciousness and kind of be concerned about what everybody else is doing and how it's going to affect you, or you can decide that you're going to practice the path of least resistance, which doesn't mean that you just kind of roll over and give up and let whatever happen to you. It means that you consciously create your life, and that whatever circumstances arise in your life, you'll recognize that for whatever it is, a lesson, a challenge, a blessing, a gift, whatever. I mean, it's all blessings and gifts anyway, even if they're lessons and challenges. But whatever it is that comes around, start to train yourself to recognize the path of least resistance. So I can't go here today, so I'll go there. I can't, this is not available to eat today, I'll eat that and I'll bless it, I can't see this person for a while, so all right, I'll do this for a while and bless it, or I'll bless them I'm just gonna figure out the very best way that I can bless everybody and everything, and I'm gonna do that. And really, once you get on that level of consciousness, that's when the flow of creating your best life possible really happens, and you start to just emanate this, you just become this internal creator of unconditional love, peace, joy, prosperity, optimal health and wellness, whatever that is. And there isn't anything that you can't do. There isn't anything that you can't create. You certainly can. It's just being aware of that and just allowing it to be there for yourself. used to do workshops where I would have people come over and do workshops here. I did workshops at the house. I did workshops, at different fairs and events and venues and that kind of thing. And I would used to teach the quantum prayer. And part of the quantum prayer was asking people to just bring into their conscious awareness something that they were able to experience as joyful. And I was surprised at how many people had difficulty with that part. So I would dig deep for that. If you're one of those people who is really has a difficult time tapping into something that's joyful, or that you can experience as loving, joyful, kind, compassionate, light, peaceful, calm. I love Abraham Hicks. One of the things that they said, which I believe is really helpful, that if you get to a point where you've got this resistance to all this good stuff in your life, go to sleep. Go to bed and go to sleep, and that really cuts off the resistance right there. And if you can, when you're, and I did this for many years myself too, and I still meditate right before I go to bed and go to sleep at night. When I let my head hits the pillow, I'm meditating and thinking about what it is, this love, peace, and joy, right? So everybody can at least do that, conjure up, if you start with your thoughts, can conjure up something that they would equate to as being, pleasant to them at the very least, and then hopefully you can open the floodgates to love, peace, and joy. So that's a very important message that I wanted to share and talk about. Just making that leap up from the things that hold us in victim consciousness and duality consciousness. It's all good. I know it sounds like a cliche, but the truth of the matter is that it is all good. It's all really wonderful and amazing. We have so many amazing, just incredible things happening right now, and just the speed at which humanity and our planet is evolving right now is just phenomenal. There's so much amazing love, light, just beyond words, really. As you can tell, I'm kind of grasping for words to actually describe it. There's so many just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experiences coming to us right now on our planet and humanity, and it's such a joy and a pleasure and a thrill to be here right now, and an honor to be here right now. Very humbling to be here right now and to see so many amazing conscious creators. It's boggling to the mind and joyful to the spirit to see so many people coming into their mastery, which is really what we're meant to do, and awakening to their own powerful creative self, and just contributing to the uplifting of humanity and our planet, and just pouring all this divine, high vibrational, unconditional love, peace, joy, enlightenment into the collective consciousness for all of us. It's really in a beautiful, amazing, amazing time in life. I hope that this message has been helpful for those of you who are thinking about, what you should do right now in terms of your health and wellness. And of course it applies to any subject. This is just kind of the hot topic of the day, right? So, and just dismissing yourself and giving yourself permission to operate outside of duality consciousness, and engaging in a level of conscious awareness where you're powerfully creating your experience. You're blessing your experience. You're blessing the experience of others. And I'll just leave you with this parting example, okay? So whether or not each of us has our own individual choice to make in terms of what we're going to do for our own health and wellness. So if I choose to partake or abstain from any kind of intervention, um, whether it's, homeopathic or prescription medications, or, a shot, or um, just energy, or whatever we do, I'm going to bless that for me and my body, right? I'm also going to bless that for my family and my neighbors, my community. But I want to bless people who make a different decision than me as well. Not only am I going to bless the people who make those decisions for themselves that are different from mine, I'm going to bless the thing that they decide, uh, the actual decision that they make, right? So, if somebody decides that they want to have a paleo diet, or a vegan diet, or a water diet, whatever, it doesn't make any sense to say, my decision is better than yours. That's crazy, right? That's gonna make you any number of things none of us wants, right? It's gonna make you weak or sick or whatever. We don't ever want to go there. We want to say, look, I'm delighted that you were able to come to that decision for yourself, and let me just take a moment to bless that for you, right? Let me just bless that water that you've decided to drink for the next, however many days. Let me just bless that vegetable that you've decided is going to be the main part of your diet for the rest of your life. And let me just bless whatever it is you've decided to put in your body. Let me just bless that homeopathic remedy, or that energy that, let me just bless that for you. Let me just say that I just want to pour all of the, just, from a source greater than myself, okay? Because wherever two or more of you are gathered, right? Um, you know, this is this is a synergistic, opportunity to create something better than yourselves. So you definitely want to pour that high vibrational, high aware level of consciousness into those folks. My pups are feeling the energy because they're racing around the yard like they've been stuck inside all week, and it's not true. They've been in the backyard all week. They're racing around. You can probably hear them barking up a storm. So they're feeling the high energy here we've got going here in the backyard. So I just want to leave you with that very powerful message that you are so powerful that you can not only create the very best for yourself in whatever decision you make, and there's no right and wrong. It's the level of vibration and consciousness that you put into it that is going to create the outcome for you. So it's your choice, right? You get to choose. Am I going to just kind of make a decision and be apprehensive about it? I don't know. Should I do this? Or are you going to go for it and bless it and, be joyful about it and pour your joy into that? And then for other people too, right? If you really want to make a difference in this world, and I think deep down inside, we all really wish that we, could make a huge difference in the world. What are we here for if not to make a difference in the world and to create a better life and to leave people and places and situations and circumstances better for us having been there? So from this incredible standpoint of power, we can absolutely, bless another person's decision, even if it's different from ours, and bless not just their decision, but bless what it is they're doing. So every single thing in existence has the potential for being a source of all of the things that we just talked about: love, peace, joy, enlightenment, light, goodness. All of that potential is there. It's there, and we just have to choose it. And I know it sounds simplified, and I know for some people it's going to be hard to grasp, like, well, I don't agree with that person because they're doing something that I don't agree with, and science clearly says that this, that, or the other. And we know that this, that, or the other is either what's best for everybody or what's harmful for everybody, right? There's that duality that's kind of driving the world nuts right now. It's either the best thing that's ever happened or the worst thing that's ever happened. And that's really what is disempowering so many people right now, when really the empowerment comes from getting to that level of consciousness where we can understand fully and completely that we get to decide what that is going to do or be for us. So I would just make the decision right now that you're going to bless yourself, bless your decision, bless what it is you're deciding to do. Bless that thing you're putting into your body, that place you're going to go to, that vehicle you're going to drive in, that class that you're going to take. Bless that teacher that you're listening to. Bless, whatever, the clients that are coming to you. Bless that business opportunity. Bless that opportunity to stay home. Bless that opportunity to go to work. Bless everything, and bless everybody else who's deciding something vastly different from you. So the very best way to transform something that, according to your current belief, is not the best thing, okay, is to transform it. And you are powerfully able to do that by pouring all of these blessings into that. You can take something that you feel is the worst thing in the world and bless it, and when you put that energy into it, because like I said before, if it's a universal truth, it's true no matter what. So if everything is energy, right, and that's a universal truth, then you can bless that thing and transform it into a vessel of divine unconditional love, peace, joy, optimal health and wellness, vibrant, vitality, incredible physical fitness. You can choose to do that for somebody else. And what's greater, right? I mean, Jesus said, it's easy to love your friends. What about your enemies, right? So, and I don't believe in enemies. I just believe that people are at different levels of conscious awareness, and I bless that too. So you are so powerful, and so what I'm suggesting is that you are so powerful that once this is truly in your conscious awareness, you can make that shift and use your power for good, right? And transform everything in your life experience and in the life experience of whatever you want, right? Your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, your co-workers, humanity at large, the planet, whatever. You absolutely have the power and the ability to do that. Really important message today, really important, powerful, uplifting, intentional, loving, light-filled, peaceful message about how powerful you really are, and how using that power to create your best life possible, and to create what is an opportunity now to create the most incredible legacy of prosperity, health, wellness, vitality, joy, unconditional love. Is just, the opportunity right now is just incredible. And I invite you all to join me in this level of consciousness and how we are going to move forward from this moment and every moment in creating our best life possible. Thank you for listening. This is the first of many videos that I'm going to be doing from here on out to help support our community of people who are invested and interested in making this shift the best it can possibly be, you know, for ourselves and for our planet and for humanity at this time. I thank you for tuning in and watching, and please feel free to like and share this video across all platforms. I think it's an important message, and I thank you so much for being part of the community and for tuning in today.